Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are, and welcome back to the latest episode of the My Coach Ben podcast. As always, a huge thanks for your time and attention. It's greatly appreciated, and I would like to extend a warm welcome to the new followers and subscribers on the various social media channels. So welcome aboard to the House of Fun, and we'll continue to grow this community. As always, if the content floats your boat, remember to like, subscribe, press the notification bell, tell your friends, fam, colleagues, and let's continue to move forward together. So without further ado, let's get into it. And we are on the letter E this week, if my memory serves me correctly. Last week we had D for distinction, and the E for this week will be empowerment. And empowerment is something that we covered in a previous episode. I think it was a couple of years ago now, but a refresh is always welcome, and you can never have too much of a good thing if rumours are to be believed. Yes, empowerment is the word this week, and as always we'll begin with a definition. And according to the Oxford English Dictionary, empowerment is defined as authority or power given to someone to do something. Individuals are given empowerment to create their own dwellings. And dwellings, I think you can also replace that with careers, or you can also replace that with hobbies or endeavours, pretty much anything that someone wants to do or can develop. Over my years of experience in the working arena, along with topics such as accountability and clarity, etc., empowerment is one of, if not the most important elements of one's career and work life. When you are empowered, or when we are empowered, it gives us the freedom to be creative and to implement our ideas and feel that we have a level of trust in which we can take our work forward and to contribute to a greater endeavour, let's say. An example of that would be, of course, in the workplace, being entrusted to make decisions, and importantly as well, in addition to that, is being allowed to fail, because this is going to happen. I saw a very interesting interview. It was with Roger Federer. He succeeded marginally more than he's failed. And I think he calculated that he won something like 51 or 52% of all the points that he's played. And so when you think about this is there's a lot of failure in there in order to succeed. Obviously, tennis is an individual sport, but even insofar as he has a team behind him and we all work in teams, and it shows the empowerment in order to express oneself and to get over failures immediately, or whatever kind of mistakes or things where they don't go according to plan, is vitally important if you're going to make these small successes, which ultimately will define a greater achievement, whether it's in a firm, whether it's in a team, or on a personal level as well. And speaking of the personal level, I think as parents, I often see parents that, one small example is they tie shoelaces for children, for example. Let them learn these things and empower them to do these things themselves, because it is a small accomplishment. It's a very small example, but there are many more that we all know. I'm not the greatest parent myself, I'm not the worst, but one thing I've learned is that empowerment, giving the children the license, if you like, to explore and to make their own successes and failures, is vitally important to shaping us as human beings in this increasingly complex world of ours. So that covers the what. Let's look at the how. How do you achieve empowerment? How do you empower people? How do you empower yourself? Well, the first thing, as I've just touched on before actually, is about trust. So if you're a manager, a leader, supervisor, or even working by yourself, one important element, vital element, is to have trust, is to trust yourself, is to trust the people that work with you. And in having that trust, it allows people to be confident in what they're doing, or to have some self-confidence in the belief that that their ideas can be implemented without fear of being usurped, let's say, and overridden. And in addition to that is about allowing mistakes, and this is something that I've mentioned before. Mistakes, failures, getting it wrong, whatever you want to call it, is something which is vital. And if you take, I'm a keen football fan, for example. If you take a football match, every shot on goal is not going to produce a goal. Football is a very low-scoring game, and so therefore you need a few attempts in order to score 1 or 2 goals. Most football matches finish 1, 2, 3 goals to nil after 90 minutes. So that in itself proves that there's a lot of failure insofar as trying to build up particular moves or what have you in order to succeed in scoring a goal. So this is something which lends itself to empowerment. I think the best teams are the ones where they have an element of creativity and the players are allowed to express themselves, and this comes through them being empowered to do so during a game. And therefore, in that case, creativity is something which is vitally important in developing empowerment, or to empowering staff and co-workers to do their best work. Creativity is the key to innovation. It's the key to solutions. And so empowerment is something which allows people to achieve those things. A final example I'm going to give is delegation. We all know these managers that are probably a little bit too hands-on, let's put it that way, and could delegate a bit more. And in delegation, what you say to one of your team members or a colleague is to say, well, look, I trust you to do that. Yeah, this is your task. You take it, you own it, you do what you need to do. You're empowered to make whatever decisions you need to make in order to get this task accomplished. And it brings me to one point, actually. There was a boss I had once. This was some years ago, and it was the first time, probably the last actually, that this has happened. But this particular boss, he said to me, Ben, after 3 years, I don't expect you to be in this department. So therefore, do what you need to do to develop yourself, develop your role, develop the tasks that you're doing. And I'm sure that in 3 or 4 years maximum, then you should be somewhere else, preferably in this company, but a little bit higher up. And this is something which has stuck with me, actually. I'm not sure how many, let's say managers, whatever you want to, whichever term you want to use, are actively saying to people, go forth, develop yourself. I'm empowering you to do what you need to do in order to move further up the ladder. And this, again, is something which is vitally important in terms of empowering people in order to achieve what they need to, and in turn, in order to achieve the greater goal and complete the bigger picture. So to conclude, we know that empowerment is the authority or power given to somebody or some individuals to do something. We know that it's essentially about freedom to express oneself and to be creative, and it's vital that in so doing that there is an element of trust, as this trust is the foundation of empowerment, we can say, and it's something which is a vital ingredient in which empowerment can be established. And there we looked at examples such as being entrusted to make decisions and, of course, fail, sometimes spectacularly. Let's face it, this can happen in the workplace, but also in our personal lives as parents, about empowering and entrusting our children to do their things and make the screw-ups that we all made going through life, and allow them to experience life as it should be, because we know that we've all made our fair share of blunders as well as our fair share of successes along the way. And then the how. We've spoken about trusting subordinates and allowing them to make mistakes, and also encouraging creativity. This is something which is vital in order to empower people, or to make people feel empowered, or let people feel empowered, is to ensure that they're able to be creative wherever there is an opportunity to do so. And in doing that, people can develop ideas freely and contribute to a greater goal. And of course, we mentioned delegation. So this is something that people maybe in let's say a more senior position can do to others, particularly new starters as well, actually, to enable them to develop ideas and get confidence as well in completing tasks and projects, and also taking part in wider topics as well. So it's good that people are empowered to bring their ideas to the table. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up there. I apologise if this has been a little bit disjointed, but I'm still a little bit tired this week, actually. I was abroad last week, and the time difference is finally catching up with me, I have to say. So apologies for that, but I hope this has been a successful, let's say, summary, and has given you some ideas and some food for thought as usual, in order to define empowerment and see how you can empower yourselves and or those people working with or for you. Thanks very much for your time. It's much appreciated in my tired state, I have to say. So thanks very much for that. As usual, like, subscribe, press the notification bell, tell your friends, fam, colleagues, etc. And let's continue to build on the progress we've made so far. On that note, I will bid you all a good week ahead. Take care of yourselves and one another. And until the next time, I bid you all peace. Your Coach Ben. Followed the various social media channels. So thanks for that. It's greatly... Welcome back, one and all, for the latest edition of the My Coach episode. The first time, probably the last actually, that this has happened. But this particular, we always had our fair success.